back in the 80s, these are the areas that we wanted to preserve, because a lot of us realised that if we didn't do something about the development that was going on, particularly in the subdivision area, we'd end up with nothing. So it was quite a large number of us joined different organisations to try and halt or stop or at least influence people's ideas on what had to be done. And what actually drove the whole issue was groundsel, which, believe it or not, is a noxious weed. And the old groundsel was the bone of the contention with the dairy people and the cattlemen, and the people like myself and a few others that used to have property that didn't worry too much about groundsel. We had this great conflict because it had to be removed. And it was out of this conflict that we ended up with land care. We had a big meeting in Pomona one day, and there was myself and there was Brian Stockwell and a few other noted, Bob Abbott and a few of us there. And our goal was actually to see if we could get the community together to form what was in those days land care. And as I said, it all started out of groundsel, believe it or not, which is a strange subject. And it was a matter of about 18 months we had land care up and running, and the groundsel issue was slowly disappearing off the horizon as a community concern. And that's led to conservation in fairly large portions across the whole Shire. Even like today, this property is on a DCA, and there are a lot more around. This whole area is part of what we call the Green Barren corridor, and that was something that a group of neighbours, we all sat down and said, wouldn't it be nice to join Mount Pinbarren with the forestry up on the mountain here? And we looked at our properties and said, well, there's no trees on it, so we need to plant them. So we contacted a few people, and all of a sudden we found that we had people volunteering trees, and then the neighbours, and over a period of 18 months, the neighbours, we had a huge plant out between the base of Pinbarren to our property here. And today that whole corridor is now complete with trees, and it's just an amazing process. A voluntary conservation agreement on this property, and we started basically because we wanted to secure our land from development of any kind. And at the time, Sunshine Coast Council had this scheme going, and one of the incentives was they sort of would provide funds, ongoing funds. And one of the issues for me is, what am I going to do when I get a bit older? And I thought that was a good idea. So I had the inspection. They came out and they thought it was a good site, and it was then set up. But prior to all that, we've been working on this section here for probably 15 years, and it's got tracks and all sorts of interesting things. It's just one of those little interesting projects you do when you own properties.